Hello guys, welcome back. This is a video on One Piece chapter 966. There's been some issues with the translations of this chapter. There's been a lot of takedown requests, Manga Stream, Gemini Box, even Reddit have been affected by this. I managed to find a site that had the actual translation on there for the scanlation. So I'm able to do this video. So sit back, we'll go through a few sections and enjoy the review. So, there's a few different things that happen in this chapter. First of all, hype, as obviously I've read it, digested it. I was so excited about this chapter, literally days in advance. I was trying to find spoilers. I wanted to be spoiled. I wanted to know what's going on, and I did get some bits and bats. But reading the chapter, you're gonna get a lot more of the detail that you miss. And it was actually quite interesting. So I'll start going through the bits and bats of the chapter that I found interesting. There's probably a load more that was in there that I probably missed or I don't really speak on this video, but feel free to let me know down below of anything interesting that I missed in my review, or just share your thoughts of as always, like, comment and subscribe. So let's get into it. So the last time we saw in the previous chapter that Whitebeard's ship was approaching the island that Roger was on. Oden rushes forward, not really caring, because just how he is, really. He's got elements of Luffy in there. I think if you look at the way the characters are, basically Luffy's like a combination of Oden and basically Roger, and some other elements that he's got. Like Roger and Rayleigh have got, I think Zorov has kind of inherited a little bit, so it's kind of interesting. Anyway, so Oden rushes forward. He basically beats up the lower end, I guess, of the squad for Roger's crew, and we see Rayleigh and Gaban ready to fight, and they're like, yeah, let's go, and turn them into mincemeat. And Roger stops them and he says, no, I don't want my two strongest fighters, to get hurt. And he's actually a lie, because he doesn't want to stop him from getting hurt. He wants to join the fray first. So the first thing that essentially happens is we get confirmed that he is one of the strongest members, Scapa Gaban. The fact that it's specifically been mentioned like that indicates to me that very soon we're going to find out what happened with Scapa Gaban, because it's weird that they made such a big deal of Rayleigh being the vice captain and then nothing's really mentioned about Scapa Gaban, and now it's showing him that he's also in that same kind of bracket as Rayleigh, or identified as strong, but we've not really seen much of him. So that it really kind of pushes that idea. He'd probably be about the same age as Rayleigh. We don't know what's happened to him, but we know he's out there. That being said, that's an interesting point that's been mentioned. Anyway, Roger rushes in on Oden and basically pushes Oden back. Now, when we saw it last time, Oden went into clash with Whitebeard, and Whitebeard was able to basically nullify his attack, or at least block his attack. Which could mean that Whitebeard physically is stronger, or they're similar in strength. That being said, Roger, we'll get to Blackbeard later. Roger was able to push Oden back and then start clashing with Whitebeard. It's interesting that happened, because that was actually a surprise to Oden, and he was kind of like lost for words. It was like unbelievable. It was unfathomable to him that he could basically be pushed back. So that shows the physical prowess of Roger. Then the clashing happens. Now there was an interesting thing I picked up with that basically Oden specifically stated that it looked like they weren't actually touching, but there was definitely a clash of haki, because both swords that were involved were basically blacked up, koka, essentially, and they were clashing, but he said that it didn't look like they were touching, which leads me to believe, or this is a confirmation, one, we know he's got Am and Haki, that they were basically using Ryu, where they've got the Haki, but they've increased its range, so it's kind of like a barrier, and I think that's part of what they were doing with their fighting. I don't know if this was Whitebeard using his devil fruit at this point, but that's an interesting tidbit to kind of confirm that he was at that level of Ryo. It does seem to be that's the case. He put it into his sword, and this is why it makes me think he's Roger's like very similar to how Zoro is in that sense. And then it basically says, and the wording is very important here, that the crews fought each other equally on equal foot for 3 days and 3 nights. So they were equal at this point. Now, bearing in mind, Shanks and Shanks was younger. You know, we have the first captain commander is younger in this one for Whitebeard as well. Whose name escapes me right now? How dare I know? And so they're younger, so they've had time to grow since the Paramount, leading up to the Paramount War. But the fact that they were equal at this point before he was the Pirate King was interesting. So one other thing kind of that came off the back of that is in between these fights of day and night, Shanks and Buggy, as well as Teach, kind of kept guard. Now there was the fifth Marco. I forgot his name for a second. So Marco was also there, stating that they don't look that strong, but basically they got the right attitude. But yeah, so I think that's probably one of the reasons why he earlier on in the story Shanks gave him some lip, because he thought, who are you? But anyway, so we see that they're having a conversation about them, and then we also see Buggy and Shanks talking, and Buggy's basically saying that this guy hasn't slept the whole time. So I'm assuming Shanks and Buggy kind of took turns keeping watch at night, but the fact that Teach didn't sleep at all kind of seems creepy. Now there's this whole thing about Blackbeard being multiple personalities, a type of chimera, fetus and fetus, as in like he's 3 people in one, and basically switches personalities based on his 2 brothers, and while one was awake, the other 2 were asleep. So that's a theory that's been going around about this, based on the spoilers, because of this previous theory of him having 3 people inside him. Back in an earlier arc, Zoro and Luffy referring to him as them. So there's that theory out there. So this can actually lead credence to that. That theory, potentially, the fact that he stayed awake and he didn't sleep. But there's also there was this thing that was mentioned by Luffy. I saw this online. I thought it was kind of interesting that he mentioned that there's people in certain islands that don't sleep at all. So he might be a type of mutant that's from that island that doesn't sleep at all. So that was interesting. So then from then we kind of move on a little bit, and there's like a conversation about the end of the Grand Line. So first we find out that Oden could read the transcriptions, the poneglyphs. He explains that it's a secret code from his ancestors, his family of the Koziki clan. And he goes, I can translate this for you. It is confirmed at this point that they've had these road poneglyph maps for a while, for at least 13 years or so, if the translation is correct. But they believe there's another island, which is Raftel or Raftel, basically. They confirm the name of the final island that you can go by log post. I'm just going to read it out. The island Roadstar is what it's called. Because we felt there was another island after this, but the log post wasn't working, just kept spinning, and the government have denied this and stopped all translation and all unlearning of poneglyphs. To which point Roger begs Oden to join his crew for the year. He goes to Whitebeard, let me borrow him for the year. Whitebeard's pissed. He's like, no, you're not doing that. He's actually bowing. Roger is bowing at this point, because he's talking about becoming the Pirate King. Basically, he's bowing to Oden and by extension Whitebeard, and the crew's like, what are you doing? They're rivals, don't bow to them. And basically Oden's left speechless by the way he is, and I guess he's like drawn to his charisma, which I think is part of the whole D thing, is what Luffy has as well, and he wants to join Roger's crew for this year, and he refers to Whitebeard as brother. Obviously Whitebeard's not very happy about the whole thing, because he goes, that's my family, and like they give all the treasure to Whitebeard, the Roger's crew, to take him, but he's like, do you want him to starve? Give it back. Then we find out that basically the crew haven't accepted Odin, but the next island they go to in the port, he nicks all the stuff and he makes Odin super believe, and they have a good time and the party, and I think they accept him at this point. We also find out that Nekamamushi and Inaarashi have stowed away on the ship, so they're part of the crew, and Roger confirms he's got 1 year left. We then see that they've gone to Sky Island, Skypea, and the bell's there. They found it with the message of Poseidon, and Odin was the one to write the transcription, which Robin read. It all makes sense, because even when they met Rayleigh and Rayleigh goes to them, we're just pirates, we're not archaeologists, we're not scholars, that led credence to someone else writing that for him. And then when we found out in Zo that the Koziki clan did the things with the poneglyphs, then it made sense that it was Odin to do it. But it's a pretty much foregone conclusion for most people, but to see it actually being shown is actually a nice thing, even though we don't actually see him do it, we just see the comments. So that was actually kind of cool to see all of that. One thing I found interesting, and there's a lot of confusion before, even for myself and a lot of people in the community that were commenting, was where is God Valley if like they went to Skypea after this? Skypea is for sure in paradise. It might be moving, we don't know, but it is in paradise. They used an upstream even in this chapter before, in this kind of flashback chapter, to go to the same way that the Straw Hat crew did. So this is important because essentially Roger's gone the way around a few times. So the reason why is because he's been to the end of the island, he's got this map, he's had it years ago, and he's picked up the Doctor in this final voyage, because when they meet Odin, he's already ill, and Dr. Crocus is already on the ship, which means he's gone through the Twin Capes, Reverse Mountain, and basically picked him up for his journey. So that leads me to believe that basically when they picked up Odin, they picked him up in the New World. God Valley's then in the New World, and then they've gone around again and gone to Skypea because that's in paradise. And they've done that before because that's how they picked up Crocus, who was at the end of Reverse Mountain waiting with Laboon for Brooke. So much information there, so much to digest. What did you think of that? What did you think of the fact that it's been confirmed for him to have, other than just Conqueror's Haki, for him to have Armament Haki? What do you think of the clash with Odin and Whitebeard? Is it Ryo? Is it that advanced form of Armament Haki that they were using? What do you think of the whole Teach thing not sleeping? What do you think of him taking Odin and Odin being surprised by Roger? What do you think about the whole thing of Skypea? Let me know about your comment sections below. Does this confirm the three siblings in one situation with Blackbeard, or is this just a ploy just to add some credence, and then we can get the rug pulled from under us later on down the line by Oda, just because he likes to have a joke? Anyway, thank you as always. If you've got this far, like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!